In this video, I want to talk to you about the family governance and especially about the re-evolution of the family governance. So I will give you just a little story why I come up with this, for me personally, and I guess also for you, very important topic about the family governance. So there was a family and there was on a transition from one generation to the next. And the founder have decided that the next generation will be not the second, and the next generation, there will come the third and the fourth and the fifth and so on. He have decided that every generation they will come next will be a creator generation, what he called a generation one or an entrepreneur generation. And he raised the question, and his son also, what kind of implication that decision will have on the family governance. And we had a discussion back and forth. Is this a very suitable way? Is this a good way? Is this a proper way? Or is it maybe a wrong way? My response to him was, that is actually the regenerative path, what each family should go on in regards of to preserve the family over the next generations. And the main engine to sustain, to preserve the family, but also the money, the capital, the wealth, is the family governance. And often case, it is just a question, what is actually the family governance? And because in many families, maybe you know as better as me, is there is a resistance in regards of the governance word, because it's the govern in the middle. And if you put it just in this way, it's just a framework. How do you make good decisions? How do you make good decisions for your stability and continuity? And maybe also in the end of the day, just that you as a family can flourish and thrive. So if we put this example, what I've started on, if each generation there will come will be not the second or third or fourth or fifth, stuff like that. Next generation will be a generation one. That requires that your governance framework, how do you make decisions together, joint decisions, is adaptive. Why adaptive? Because the next generation, the next rising generation, the next creator generation, they will have new goals, a new future, a new vision, what they will have done with the wealth, maybe also with the family business. But the family business is just a different engine and requires, often case, a corporate governance. So anyway, come back to the family governance framework. I structured this for this family in 6 layers. It starts with the ground foundation, what I called the adaptive governance. The adaptive governance is just, in the end of the day, just in guidance, what I called the dynamic succession. Succession not as an event, succession as a leadership process. Each generation will be educated, will be ensured that they have the right skills, also communication skills, in a family academy, through a family university. And here's the link to the family office. And the family office, a family officer, is responsible to implement the learning curriculum in this dynamic succession process. The next layer, and that is just also the result of the dynamic succession process, is the continuity. And the continuity, by and large, is mainly provided by the family office. The family office is just the engine, not only the investment vehicle of the family itself, it is just the engine to help the family to continue over generations. And the family office itself requires also a family governance or a governance framework. And the governance framework in the family office itself is linked to the family's governance. And the investment governance is a very tiny piece in this kind of puzzle. The next layer is what I called the dynasty. Or often cases just, okay, what kind of decisions do we make today in our family governance framework is helping the seventh generation from now onward to helping them to make good decisions as well. What kind of framework, what kind of foundation can we build on that supports the next generation, the next creator generation, until the seventh generation onward? It implements the seventh or 10th generation thinking. And the last layer, what I called, is the strategic philanthropy framework or approach. And it is also defined in the family governance framework. I will give you just some easy example. What I often see where most family governance frameworks have failed. It is required that a family will have a strong vision, but also a strong strategy. Because each family of wealth, each enterprise family, there's in a requirement in today's environment to become a strategist. And that requires clearly that you have a very large and big goal, what you want to achieve as a family, or in easy words, for what is your family actually standing for. And the family governance is actually clearly indicates and describes and help the family itself to execute this kind of strategy. Is everything and everybody aligned with this family strategy, with the huge goal, a big goal, with the vision, and helps each family member to execute through the family governance framework, to execute the family's vision, but also the family goal. In most cases, it's just more the question, what kind of structure throughout the governance framework is in place. Often case you see a governance is only written in a lot of papers. Huge books or huge papers are laying down in files, and very few people read it actually. But if you are aligned, I call it just the North Star, aligned in a huge goal, the family governance framework gives you just a clear indication where the ships are moving forward. And why is it necessary to talk about a re-evolution of the family governance? On the one hand, it is not a surprise that the new generation of families, the new generation family members, they have very little in common with their parent generation. They think completely different in regards of wealth. They think completely different in regards of the existing family business. And they want to have impact. Not impact investing or green investments or stuff like that. They want to have impact. They want to change something over the next generations. And that requires an adaptive and flexible communication framework in the family itself, the governance. But also, on the other hand, and it is an increasing, let's call it risk. And that kind of risk is the declining of the birth rates. Every family across the globe, except the African families, will face these challenges. Also in regards to these new generation families, Gen Zs, mainly Gen Zs, and the next generations, they make a clear decision to have no children. But on the other side, you have in many cases, an exponential growth on the family's fortune. And you can see today, maybe in the second or third creator generation, there is no one that you can inherit the fortune or the family business. That requires that you now should be considering, that is also a very important pillar in the family governance itself, that you become a family of affinity. And the family of affinity is just an open system. The family of affinity is described, and there's not a link on blood. The unity is based on a vision, a purpose, a greater purpose, and every family member, it can be part of this kind of journey or not a part of this kind of journey, but it requires just a flexible and adaptive family governance. How do you make good joint decisions? The question is often, okay, how we can structure our family governance. And I will give you just an easy example. How do you can consider or maybe reconsider or can test it? There are 3 layers. On the one hand, I call it just a strategic council or a dynasty council. That's the first strategic layer. This kind of council inside of the family governance will oversee the family strategy. Will also readjust the family's governance and the strategy itself. The second layer is what I call the generational council. This kind of council, family members sitting in there, but also non-family members, to make sure that the right decisions will be made to execute the strategy. And the third layer is the execution council. And below these 3 layers, there will be also an elders and the rising gen council to help the elders or to gain access to the elders' wisdom and experiences that indicates and also is helpful for the governance itself. But also on the rising gen, I don't use the term next gen because nobody wants to be the next. Next is linear and rising is exponential, and each of one will be exponential. The rising gen is also sitting on the table and will make them go on a journey for the next leadership of the family. So maybe this short video give you just a little flavor what is necessary also to reconsider when it comes to family governance. Is a very critical engine. In the end of the day, it's just how did you communicate in your family? In a good manner, but also maybe in a bad manner. How do you solve conflicts? But in the end of the day, how do you make good decisions for now, but also for the next generation that will come? I'm happy to talk to you about this very important topic. And let's have a discussion maybe. If there is any question, please put a comment in a section below. And I'm also happy if you support me on my journey to help 1,000 families to become a family of affinity, a dynasty of a new age with one architecture over the next 10 years. For now, many thanks for your attention, and until next, be great.